Mulder is brought to a plant nursery where he finds his sister, much as she was when she was taken. The alien bounty hunter continues to pursue them
to get his weapon back and kill Jeremiah Smith. A whole new arc of the mythology begins now in Season 4 of The X-Files.
This is not happening.
I've come to you at great risk. I mean you no harm.
Mulder, he knows about your sister.
How do I know you're for real?
I can explain everything to you.
First, I want you to come somewhere with me. I want you to come with me to see my mother. Jeremiah, stop! What are you doing?
There'll be more right behind him.
You can't leave here.
They'll kill me.
I need your help. My mother is dying.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You are listening to This Is Not Happening, another X-Files podcast with me, Andrew, one of your hosts, and Mike, the other one of the hosts. Mike, be a host. Host people.
the second one of the hosts.
The second of two.
Season 4!
It's Season 4 time. Time for Season 4 time. I really loved Home as a season opener. I thought it was great that they decided to just jump the mythology and go straight to Home. I thought that was a really daring choice. What about you, Mike?
Do we have a repeat of Season 2? They started with Host.
Yeah.
Both 4-letter H words.
It's a very smart move, really.
Yeah.
It keeps your expectations high for what the part 2 of the climactic double shot was going to be.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to take that as you did not like this episode.
You know me well, Mike. You know me well.
Oh, boy.
I'm wearing my heart in my sleeve a little bit here to say that I got some issues with this one. But rather than laying them all out now in my treatise entitled Herrenvolk, Why It's a Terrible Episode, I will just get into it. How does that sound?
All right. That sounds great.
First things to note are a little biographical data, and that is to say that Herrenvolk was written by Chris Carter, and as always, it was directed by R.W. Goodwin, who does all of the season finales and openers up until Season 5? When does he depart the X-Files train?
I think it's... shit.
Well, while Mike is looking that up, I will tell you that it aired in October of 1996, and Nielsen tells us that it was watched by 21.11 million people, meaning everybody was excited to know what was going to happen in the climactic showdown between the alien bounty hunter and Mulder and Scully, and Jeremiah Smith. But really, it's between our agents and the alien bounty hunter. So, Mike, do we know?
Yeah, he stops in Season 5.
Yeah, I thought so. So he's a little bit long in the tooth for these, and I think it's a good episode. Like, there's nothing wrong with the direction of it.
No, it's capable.
It's the script. It's always the script.
Always the script.
Always the script.
And I want to say that I think a lot of this is probably just a little of the boil over from the blah that was Talitha Kumi. It's one of those stories that's just, they're setting it up, and there's a lot to set up, but the getting there is just not as interesting as it always is, or has been in the mythology, I think, up to this point.
Yeah.
So,
well, you walk away with the classic situation of why are we watching this? What's being revealed? There are some plot nugget drops, which is what mythology does. And as I've said previously, for me, it's why I watched the show. I wanted to know the grand conspiracy. And of course, I would sit through these episodes to figure it out, right? Whether or not you're rewarded is another question. But Herrenvolk, meaning master race in German, coined by the Nazi Party. So I guess a nod to the colonization line. Is that your take as well?
Absolutely.
The tagline post-credits is everything dies. And and
our favorite character gets to utter that line.
Yes, Brian Thompson. God bless him. Well, shall we become part of the Herrenvolk? I'm not sure how to do that in a punny way gracefully. Doesn't work. Yeah, it doesn't track.
Yeah, it's a little.
It's never a good time to joke with Nazism.
Yeah, Nazis. I don't know. I'm not gonna ever say I'm part of the master race, even as a joke.
Let's take down the Herrenvolk.
Yes.
Yeah, all right. Mike, we open with a tracking shot of big sky country, rolling fields and lush trees, until we end on a road sprawling into the distance. A white van is driving up the road, and we soon focus on that to the tune of Mark Snow's optimistic synth. The van, marked with the TELUS badge, and Mike, TELUS is a phone company up here in Canada land, so on brand.
Paid. Paid sponsor of the X-Files.
Paid sponsor. It drives by, and we cut to the van, stopped, a worker preparing to do some work on a telephone pole. He straps on some tools which will let him climb the pole, and he does just that, soon reaching the top and beginning his work. A bee buzzes beside his head, and eventually it stings him on the neck. He slaps the bee, and it falls to the ground. As it lays dying, we see several pairs of sneakered feet walk past, approaching the pole. The worker looks over, and we see from his perspective 3 blonde-haired boys, soon to become 5, all identical, except for different clothes. The boys stare wordlessly as the man seems to go into anaphylactic shock. His spasms send him from the top of the pole crashing to the ground. The fall doesn't kill him immediately, it seems. As he lies on the ground, the boys walk over and watch him wordlessly as he dies. After a moment, one turns away and walks off into a nearby field, the others following. Credits. How did that grab me, Mike?
Good. It's creepy, especially when the 5 children show up. Not because there's 5 identical children, just because they're children.
Yep.
Yep. And then, of course, I don't know, Andrew, did you recognize poor man's Daniel Craig?
Yeah.
From season 2? He was in our favorite episode. No, he was in our favorite episode.
Space?
No,
season 1. No.
Season 2. Fearful Symmetry.
Fearful Symmetry.
Yeah. He played a stuntman there who got eaten by a tiger and did all the flopping around by himself.
So he probably actually climbed the pole then.
Yeah, he's the stuntman. He is an actual accredited super stuntman in Hollywood.
Well, that makes sense then.
He actually fell. He's like, I got this, guys. I got this.
I don't get how he falls face first and doesn't have like a big road smash on his face. Yeah. It's bad CGI. Obviously,
yeah.
He's like running to the camera and they put that. Yeah. The license plate on the van, worth noting that it must have been specifically made for the show. As Mike, license plates in Alberta have 3 letters and 3 numbers at the time, and this is like PNC 5N8. So, but otherwise, Wild Rose Country, totally Alberta's license plate slogan. So on brand.
Nice. I did want to mention that the children in this scene, the same actor.
It might be twins, I think.
You can tell if you look at them, there is a slight separation. You can see the composite.
Oh yeah,
of them. So it is not actually quintuplets, but
that'd be a hell of a casting challenge.
We just got to cast someone. We have 2 families. Just pick one.
You better be a good actor, kid, because wow, your future is assured.
I swear to God, if you speak and ruin this shot.
Just don't open your mouth, kid. All right. Well, we have the credits. And as we mentioned, the tagline is not the usual, the truth is out there, but everything dies. And this is like the 4th time they've decided to mess with the titles.
Yeah.
And I suppose, season opener, they're allowed to have a little license with that.
Oh, yeah.
After the credits, we do a quick recap from the season 3 finale. The alien bounty hunter is arriving to kill Jeremiah Smith. Smith says nope, and he beats it out of there. He's running into a nearby factory. And Mike, is this like a wood chipping factory or a lumber mill or something?
Yeah, some sort of lumber mill.
I mean, it's not really ever stated, but
they always come up with the weirdest set choices.
Yeah.
Like, why are we here? It looks cool for sure, but why here?
Well, why not though? I mean, it is.
Yeah. I'm not actually upset with it. It's just It's just interesting. There are always interesting locations in this show.
Absolutely. Well, Mulder warns Scully not to use her gun and follows Smith as the alien bounty hunter gives chase. He completely ignores Scully's request that he stop right there, sir, and whacks past her to get Smith. Inside the factory, we have a long chase sequence accompanied by Mark Snow's metal drum heavy soundtrack. There are near misses, dark hallways, guide rails, jerky camera movements as Smith and Mulder escape to a second building. locking the door to stop the bounty hunter from entering. Inside, they run into Scully, who we're never quite sure where she is, but she's always around. Mulder orders her to get the car, and she does so, speeding away, only to have the bounty hunter land on the hood, Captain America style.
No!
She blares the horn as a warning, and Mulder and Smith take another route, the bounty hunter still in pursuit. He sees them run across a field of wood chips and keeps up the chase, climbing up a hill to follow, alien switchblade in hand. As he surveys the scene, sneaky Fox Mulder emerges from a pile of wood chips, rising up to stab the bounty hunter in the neck with the alien switchblade. Mulder seems to strike true, the bounty hunter tumbling helplessly down the mountain of wood chips to come to a stop as a motionless body. We see a bubbling green goo coming out from the switchblade. Mulder darts in to collect the other switchblade that was carried by the bounty hunter, and then goes to rejoin Jeremiah Smith, who has collected a boat and is beginning to get away. Smith wants to get the hell out of there, saying there will be more coming. But Mulder manages to convince him to take him with him as his mother is dying. I need you to save my mother. You have no other purpose than to save my mother. Screw your rebellion. A helpless Scully runs towards them, only to see Mulder and Smith boat away into the darkness. She sees the dead body of the alien bounty hunter, leaning over to feel his neck for a pulse, but the bounty hunter was playing possum. He blinks his eyes open and grabs Scully's neck. He needs to know where they're going, but Scully pleads ignorance. Eventually, he lets her go. See, Mike, alien switchblade does nothing, even when it does.
Yeah. I guess we can attribute it to his Mulder's bad aim.
I don't know.
I'm not resting on that. I'm just saying, he is obviously unaffected by this. So,
if I'm an alien bounty hunter and that's my only place of weakness, I'm thinking metal neck cowl, like a little bit of
just
slate
start
armor on
wearing
the back
some
of my neck.
uncomfortable neck chassis belt.
But if that's the only way I can die, it's like, willing to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So Mulder leaves Scully.
Yeah. That
die.
never happens in this show. I was amazed.
Yeah. This one's a little unfortunate because it's a little uncool, man. I mean, you are leaving her with a murderer.
No, but he thinks he's dead. He thinks the bounty hunter got
I
killed.
know, but he should at least check.
You'd think there'd be a cell phone call in there somewhere.
You'd be like, hey, Scully, I got the bounty hunter. We're going to head out. Instead, I'm going to get in the boat, leave, and not answer your calls as you shout for me.
Yeah. Immediately we're going to leave. And we're going to, here's where the only mode of transportation makes sense. We're going to boat to Providence. Because you could probably, I didn't track that travel method, but it's probably one of the more direct ways to do it.
Yeah.
Assuming they've got 5,000 gallons of gas.
Oh, yeah. Well, they got this. No problem.
They got this.
I mean, the lumberyard keeps a boat here with an exorbitant amount of gas.
Yeah. Yeah.
At all times.
It's what you do. Because you never know when you need to boat to Providence.
Yeah.
Well, back with Mulder and Smith, they pull up to a dock and discuss their options. Smith suggests he's too important, that going to see Mulder's mother will just be to play into the hands of the syndicate. Instead, he suggests that he takes Mulder to show him the progress of the work so that he can slow it down or stop it. And he also drops another plot bomb on Mulder. He'll show him his sister as well. His sister, Mike. She's alive?
Good Lord.
Well, how would this even fly, given that Mulder's already met his sister like twice now?
Well, it's Mulder. He always wants to believe, right? So
Yeah.
I guess we can just say that. He's still looking for her. The sister he thought he had in season 2 was outed as a clone. So you'd think his flag should be raised.
Okay.
His bullshit meter should be going off a little bit. But he is still holding out hope that he can find his sister.
His actual original sister,
Actual sister.
Well, in my mind, this is yet another case where someone's going to use Mulder's sister to manipulate him to their own ends.
Time 2 of 3. Maybe even more.
They'll know where to find us. They'll be waiting for us.
Who?
Your government men. They'll be waiting at the hospital with your mother.
What can they do? We're working in the light. They can't stop us without exposure, without consequence.
You have to understand something. I must perish.
Whatever the consequences to that end, they are incalculable to the preservation of the larger plan.
The larger plan. You mean colonization?
Hegemony, Mr. Mulder. A new origin of species.
I don't understand.
I can show you.
My mother is dying. I need to take you to see her right now.
And if they are waiting for us, if they're willing to kill me and face the consequences of their actions to stand before your ineffectual justice system, I will be dead. I won't be able to save your mother. The work will go on. The plan will continue to be executed. Or you can stop it.
How can I stop it?
I can take you to a place, show you the work in progress, where you can see.
Look, there's
where
no
you
time.
can see your sister.
In Mrs. Mulder's hospital room, the cigarette-smoking man, also known as the cancer man. I think we should come up with the "this is not happening" official name for William B. Davis, because we go back and forth on him. You call him CSM. I call him the cigarette-smoking man. Show calls him cancer man. We need to lay it down.
Yeah.
Or we could poll the audience. We could
Old
poll.
Smokey? We can stick with Old Smokey because
We
Mulder
could.
calls him that.
How about this? You heard it here, folks. First, we are going to run a poll on the Syndicate Facebook group to see what the official "This Is Not Happening" name should be for William B. Davis's character on the X-Files.
I think I lean to CSM just because it sounds cooler. I don't know why, but
It goes faster, I suppose. But anyway, you don't have a choice. It'll be whatever.
I don't. It'll be up
Yeah.
to you, listeners.
So the William B. Davis character,
Who is unnamed.
who is currently unnamed, holds Mrs. Mulder's hand as the first elder enters the room, and then he quickly moves his hand because it's not cool. to hold hands with girls.
No, nothing. Were you playing with your dolls again?
First elder informs this William B. Davis character that Fox Mulder isn't coming, to which he can only agree. Doesn't know where they are. First elder confronts him with the photograph taken of him and Mrs. Mulder from their cottage liaison, suggesting they have a leak and that they can figure out who the leak is by planting some information and seeing where it flows. The information is that Mrs. Mulder's life is in danger, and he shares a knowing, ominous glance with henchman number 1. I don't know if this guy has an official title, but he's going to be important, Mike.
Mm-hmm. So they know now that they have a
yeah.
leak, and
Yeah.
it is not good.
Definitely not good.
Fat Man is upset.
As he should be. My God, what is this candy cane organization they got running here?
Right?
Back at the factory. During the day, Mulder calls Scully. She's a bit cagey. Mulder tells Scully he had to steal a car in Alberta, and he needs her to cover for him. Now, Mike, Alberta, Canada, just so we're aware. We then see that the alien bounty hunter was behind Scully in the car, holding his switchblade threateningly, and when he hears that Mulder and Smith are in Alberta, he leaves Scully and goes to his own car. Scully tells Mulder that the man he left for dead is still alive and after him. Mulder and Smith share an ominous look, and we cut to commercial. All right, so he's going to drive to Alberta as well.
So
Do you see
how
where I'm
fast do
going
you think
here?
you can get there?
It's going to take him exactly 2 minutes for the commercial break, is what it's going to be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And where are they right now?
I'm going to get to that. I just need to
Okay.
set the scene for our travel nonsense. So here we go. After the commercial, Smith and Mulder's car has run out of gas. It's only 20 more miles to where Smith wants to take Mulder. Half that if they go on foot and cross these hills. Mulder, anxious to get to the end of this odyssey, heads out over the hills. So, how far of a car ride is it from Washington, D.C. to Alberta, you might ask?
A lot.
Let's be conservative and say that their destination is outside of, Medicine Hat, Alberta. It's on the east side of the province and a little closer to Washington. So, Mike, I would like you to guess how many miles that is. Just, in TV logic, I guess.
Couple hundred?
Couple hundred?
Yeah.
Okay. 2,110.
But they made it there in a day. Less than a day. We're good.
Well, you would assume. Without stopping, that's a 34-hour car ride.
So not only does the lumberyard keep a boat with an extreme amount of gas, it also has a car at the other end where they can hijack it and have a lot of gas to get across the country and into another country.
Yes, clearly. Well, it's implied that they drive multiple vehicles, as Mulder has stolen. Mulder stole a car in Alberta. But the kind of car they're shown driving is your basic K car, which had a gas tank capacity of around 16 gallons. Average mileage of a car for that vintage between 20 and 27 miles per gallon. So, Mike, assuming the high end, 27 miles a gallon, that is 432 miles per tank. And assuming they let it run bone dry between Phillips, that's just under 5 full tanks of gas. Meaning, Mike, they have plenty of time for Smith to tell Mulder the entire colonization plan on their road trip.
No.
No?
No. You don't talk about it till the camera's on you.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely no discussion. Yeah. It's silence. Maybe some music, but other than that.
Oh, they go through the music, that's for sure. They got 1 8-track in the stolen vehicle I got, and that's it. All right, that is my treatise on travel nonsense for this episode.
Yep. It was concerning.
And why Alberta? I mean...
That's the other thing. Well, what the fuck? Come on, Chris Carter.
You could do Nebraska. Like, even Iowa is closer. That's farming country.
You have a whole country of random fields that you could pick. But
yeah,
I guess it's Chris Carter's way of saying that Canada is a cold and desolate place where no one should live. And they can get away with shady shit.
I suppose. Meanwhile, back in Washington, Scully has returned to FBI HQ and is responding to A.D. Skinner's summons. Scully lies to Skinner's face when he asks if they located Jeremiah Smith. Skinner lets Scully in on some new information. The two of them connect with Agent Pendrell.
We ran a check on these men. All 5 have not reported to work in 3 days. Now, would you or Agent Mulder like to let me in on what it is your suspicions are?
I'm afraid we haven't exactly formulated any clear suspicions, sir.
Well, we have, Agent Scully.
Sir?
We were able to download the hard drive data from each of the 5 missing men's Social Security workstations. And in each case, we found an enormous amount of files and data that cannot be identified. Do not correspond with any kind of accounting or document collection done as normal departmental business. The data was all locked in password files.
How much of it is there?
Enough to fill 7 10-gigabyte hard drives, roughly a billion entries.
It appears to be some kind of personal record keeping or accounting.
Could it be some kind of cryptogram?
If it is, I can't crack it.
I'd like to get a copy of a portion of this. I might be able to figure it out.
Seriously?
Maybe. There's somebody I want to run it by.
Agent Mulder?
No. I think, sir, this is more along my field of expertise.
So, Mike, 7 10-gigabyte hard drives. Delightful.
It's adorable.
That's the size of your average AAA computer game these days. And I love how they call it, like, they don't just say it's 70 gigabytes worth of data. He says 7 10-gigabyte drives.
Like, that makes it even more amazing.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, 7 units? No fucking way.
A 10-gigabyte hard drive? I mean, Mike, that costs like $600 in the day.
Jesus.
Yeah. In 96, did we even have... Yeah, we would have had, like,
basic I'm sure...
hard drives, but 10 gigs would definitely be like, holy Christ. Man.
Gigs was a new term
in
96. So
I think CDs...
Much like the terabyte a few years ago.
Oh, yeah. Fair. Well, let's go back to Alberta, where Mulder and Smith climb a hill. They discover the body of the telephone repair dude from the opening. His face has decayed, and he's crawling with bugs. Gross.
Icky.
Mulder discovers a work order that shows he was killed yesterday, or more accurately, the van arrived here yesterday. Maybe he was dropped dead out of the van, Mike. But I like the induction.
I like the fact that despite being bloated in his face, the worker is abnormally skinny at the stomach area because it's just a doll.
Well, Mulder speculates that Smith knows what killed this man. Continuing to be cryptic, Smith simply says it's not much further, and they continue walking. As they climb a final rise, they see several covered fields where flowering shrubs are being grown. Smith tells him that this is the future, and the shrub won't be found on any of your taxonomic charts. Mulder looks through binoculars to see a pair of children. The boy is the same as the one who watched the repairman die, while the girl is an unquestionably young Samantha. Mulder, overtaken by emotion, charges down into the fields to manhandle the girl. She doesn't react as Mulder intones her name to her. Bees fly around them ominously. Smith tells Mulder she has no language, that she's a drone, a worker. And instead of explaining, Smith continues to stonewall and simply says there's more he should see so he might understand. The four of them walk towards a small collection of lovely, delightful worker cottages. Smith explains that the kids are an agrarian workforce charged with taking care of the plants, that they don't need parents. As Mulder takes it all in, other pairs of children emerge from the cottages, their clones of the first pair, dressed in different outfits. Finally, Smith asks Mulder if he's seen enough. They gotta leave now. And while all of this is very interesting, it has not escaped my attention that Smith hasn't explained a goddamn thing.
He is just one big tease, isn't he?
He said.
He's edging Mulder. It's just,
Mike,
you want it? You want it? You want the answer?
He said, and I quote, at the end of season 3, I will explain everything. I will answer all your questions. And yet, here are some questions Mulder has had at least 3 days to have answered. What is the master plan? Who is behind the master plan? What is the purpose of these plants? What killed the telephone repairman? And who created these cloned children? Is that too much to ask?
Maybe he's saying metaphorically, I will have all your questions answered simply by sight, and you will piece things together. I won't have to say anything. I'm really not planning on saying anything. Therefore, despite my actions in the previous episode, I will not have gone against the plan.
I would love... Yeah, exactly. I'm going to play
He's
both
not
sides.
giving them any ammunition in the space jury, space trial that he's about to have.
I really wish they had a bit where Mulder says, okay, I got my questions I'm going to ask you. And the guy's like, oh, well, actually, I don't really know the answer to that question.
I was just saying something.
Yeah.
So we
all
could
your
move.
questions, like, where did I get this suit? How can I change form? That's a good one too, right? You should really be asking me that.
that was the whole car ride. Okay. Be this guy.
The original
Whoa,
charade.
that's so rad. He forgot all his questions.
Well, I submit my evidence to the court of the shittiness of this script right here. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Back in Mulder's apartment, Scully lets herself in, tapes next to the window. Maybe Mr. X will give up some useful information. She looks at her watch, settles in for a wait. She's examining the printout of the database when there's a knock at the door. She draws her gun and creeps over. As she approaches the door, Mr. X tells her to open the door, Agent Scully. He walks in, asking where Mulder is. He has information for him about his mother. She is unprotected. He moves to leave, but Scully stops him. She does a bit of horse trading, saying she'll pass this on to Mulder if he tells her something about these database records. And she must come off as convincing because Mr. X gives up that the SCP code on the records stands for Smallpox Eradication Program. But then he warns her to leave it alone, which of course she's not going to do. Protect the mother, he intones, and then he leaves. Well, there's a plot bomb for you. Smallpox, eh, Mike?
Yeah. What are they doing now? This is one of the turning points for the show.
Well, this is probably Chris Carter's favorite conspiracy theory that he is going to run with.
Yep.
The idea that everybody being vaccinated against smallpox has also been tagged, bagged, and cataloged for something, for some crazy
secret
purpose.
Government project.
But am I misremembering, or have they not already found this out? Because they went to the abandoned mine, the Strughold mine.
Mm-hmm.
They saw all the filing cabinets. They saw all the vaccine samples or whatever, the inoculation samples. So they kind of already know that this project exists.
Yeah. I think it's more just piecing it to new evidence, maybe, because they don't have the mine shaft full of files. So this kind of confirmation is something Scully can take to evidence and tell Skinner later.
Well, and that's a very interesting part of the show, which I'm looking forward to talking about.
Yeah.
We're back at the farm now. Smith has found a little gas for the car, while Mulder is leading one of the Samanthas along beside him. Smith is resistant to the idea that she should come with them. I guess she'll just slow them down. Who knows? Smith blathers on.
Save their asses.
You would imagine, right? Smith blathers on some more about Mulder. He's got a chance to understand something here, expose it, and Mulder finally asks a goddamn direct question, telling Smith to explain it, when, of course, out of nowhere, just as we're about to get some goddamn answers, the alien bounty hunter drives like a madman into view.
Yeah, that is the best driving scene.
Yeah, squeal.
I have to ask, in this pursuit, Mulder is hand in hand with the little girl. And we all know David is one hell of a runner. So at some point, is he just dragging her along?
That isn't.
I can't keep up.
Yeah, he's like running and dragging her along, bouncing across every hill and dale.
She's just a husk.
Likely. Well, yeah, that's the way the script is going to be, people. Every time you get close to the answers, the alien bounty hunter is going to come out of nowhere and just collide with the plot.
It is worth noting, because I am on your side in the travel times for this episode. This is one of the most ridiculous ones. He is at least 12 hours behind.
Yes.
It's because they waited until bright morning, not early morning where the sun's cresting over the fucking horizon. No, it was daytime when Mulder finally called Scully. So
I'm willing to accept that. Again, in the gray area of travel nonsense, they must have stopped to sleep. You know, they're not driving the entire way and just stopping for gas.
I mean, it's yeah, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I know why you don't see it, because it's boring to watch the travel. You'd have a series of crossfades and, you know, checking your watch. But they've done it in other shows where they, you know, they're in the car a little bit. You don't need it here, but the fact that you don't have it, and if you think about it for 2 seconds, like, oh,
wait a minute.
My favorite image is the alien bounty hunter filling up on gas at a gas station. You know, washing the windshield, doing the little scraperoo across the windshield.
Using the paper towel so he leaves no streaks.
Paying at the cashier. Do you have an ESO card, sir? Yes, here. Just to hold on.
He signs up for a rewards program because he knows how long of a trip it's going to be.
Oh, you've just made platinum. Oh, well.
No way.
Do I
I'll
get
take,
free
I'll
chips
take a
with
12-pack of Coke.
I'll take a Coke.
Oh,
okay. That's a better show right there. The trio run away from the alien bounty hunter, Samantha clone bringing them to a hiding place, an apiary. I guess tomb-like apiary, I'm not sure. It's filled with deadly bees.
You usually
and
keep them in bunkers.
Yeah, that's what you do. Well, these bees, maybe. Smith tells Mulder he has no immunity to their deadly sting, but a quick-thinking Mulder grabs the can of gas and pours it over himself, blinding himself in the process. And the trio go inside. I get it. It's an interesting take, but now he's the Human Torch ready to go.
You got to do what you got to do when you are pursued by an alien bounty hunter.
Yeah, true. In the apiary, the endless drone of bees fills the space, and we see wall after wall of tall honeycombs.
Those things are creepy.
That is pretty creepy, very alienish.
Yeah.
Above them, they see an opening high in the ceiling. There's
an
only
oubliette?
one way out.
An oubliette?
Yeah. A reverse oubliette for bees, though.
Yep. A boubliette? No.
A boubliette. A bibliette. The bounty hunter is quickly going to come through, and Smith says ominously, "We've walked into our own trap."
Dun, dun, dun.
Speaking of the bounty hunter, he descends the stairs into the apiary, pulling out his alien schnick and walking through, unperturbed by the bees. He finds the gas can and gives it a toe nudge. Continues to lurk through the honeycombs. Suddenly, a wall of honeycomb crashes onto him, sending the bees into a rage. The bounty hunter is stung repeatedly while the trio escape. They got away. Well, that was exciting.
That is a horrifying environment, I gotta say.
Not if you're an alien bounty hunter. That's just
Not if you're an alien bounty hunter. I mean, he handles it with great care, and his heart rate doesn't elevate above 85.
No.
But
back at the FBI, Scully visits Agent Pendrell, who looks like he's been up all night working on the record problem. She reveals the secret information. SEP stands for Smallpox Eradication Program, which astounds Agent Pendrell. She hasn't figured out why the Jeremiahs were keeping records related to this project, but she's working on it. Further, the 20-digit code is related to a protein amino acid sequence, in this case, the cowpox virus used to inoculate humans against smallpox. The final line for each record is a 15-digit code, which Pendrell confirms are all unique records per record, and Scully declares it as an inventory number of all the humans that were inoculated. Taking off her jacket, we see she has a bandage over a site where she's had some blood taken. So, Mike, we're going to get to the bottom of this.
And a bead of sweat rolls down Pendrell's forehead as she puts her arm around his chair and investigates the screen with him. Closer and closer, her breast inches towards his face.
Wow, you've already written this fanfic, have you?
No, I'm writing it as we speak, and as I'm watching it, she is just like,
oh
boy.
We cut to Scully briefing senior members of the FBI. It's not going well, as these folks are not scientists. There's a lot of science in this exchange, but the long and short of it is that Scully reveals her findings to upper management, and it's received skeptically. She indicates that she thinks the smallpox eradication program had a secondary purpose of cataloging the humans who received an inoculation. She doesn't know who, other than it would have to be government. She doesn't know why. Skinner takes her aside to dress her down, but she proclaims that she's just doing her job, sir, and that the person who can answer these questions is Jeremiah Smith. Scully's cell phone rings. It's Mulder, telling her he's coming back from Canada with Jeremiah in tow, and he's going to need protection. Scully assures him he'll get it, as a lot of people want to talk to Jeremiah Smith. What did you make of that scene there, Mike?
Oh, well, it stopped just shy of them going, gee, Mrs. Mulder, you sure have a lot of kooky theories.
I don't care for your evidence, really. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's a nice little development. She's got some answers that, again, transpire from, or come over from season 3. You know, we have a little bit more connective tissue here.
Mm-hmm.
But it goes about as well as you'd expect in this show. So, I mean, dismissed almost entirely as conspiracy.
And this episode is just one example of after another of the plot being derailed by something else before it can actually progress. It's like Skinner comes out to tell her, you're crazy, you know, these people here think you're nuts. And she has an opportunity to justifiably explain how, no, she's absolutely correct. And then Mulder calls, and then that whole plot line is just done for this episode.
Done.
We see Mulder in a phone booth, and in the distance, we hear the squealing of tires, which can mean only one thing, Mike. The alien bounty hunter is on the case and about to interrupt the plot again.
He has one trusty car.
That's right. Well, he's driving the Telus van, and he drives it into the phone booth, smashing into the car where Jeremiah and Samantha are passengers. Mulder is stunned as he's picked up by the bounty hunter, now covered with bee stings. Pretty good makeup effect there.
Yeah.
Although
you're really pissing me off.
You'd think that maybe he could just shapeshift his face and be good again, right?
You'd think. Here's my question.
Sure.
He was not afraid of the bees when he entered.
Not a bit.
And then he got attacked by them. Obviously, they're not going to have the same effect as they would on a human for whatever reason. He's alien. But he's still affected by it.
Well, the stinging part, I guess.
That's
enough.
I guess I don't know. It seemed like maybe he shouldn't have had blisters all over his face, but I don't know. Maybe it's just good enough.
I think that they decided they wanted to have this scene because it's a fear a lot of people have to be stung by a bee.
Oh, absolutely.
And they maybe thought this is a great opportunity to have some violence. I think if he's immune to the stings or they won't sting him because they're alien bees or whatever, then the fix is they crash the wall on him and then run out the door and lock it. and he just sort of runs harmlessly through the bees to try and get there, and he's, pounding on the door.
Instead, they choose to have him fall to his knees and swat at the bees, which I don't know that he would do if he has zero care in the world. I don't know. It's felt a little clunky.
It does. It's worth noting at this point that the young Samantha is played by an actor named Vanessa Morley, and she was stung by a bee during the production, and thousands of live bees were used to do this effect. And the understanding was they're not going to sting if there isn't a queen there. I guess that's what the producers thought. But you know what, Mike? That apparently is not true.
Well, she got smallpox and died.
It's very sad.
Ironically.
Ironic.
She was infected with an alien virus and was deceased by the end of production.
Yeah. All right, so Bounty Hunter picks up Mulder, and he laments that Mulder's being strung along by Smith. He shows you pieces, but tells you nothing of the whole. It's like he's been listening to me.
This is true.
It's like he's been listening to me bitch about this entire episode, and now
Andrew
he tells
makes
us.
a point. Listen to the narrator. You're learning nothing.
It is one of my favorite things when the episode weaves into the dialogue things that I, the viewer, am thinking. It's like, well, yeah, he has been leading you along and telling you nothing. So, okay, but I just think Mulder's too smart to go 3 days in a car without sort of interrogating Smith to get the answers he needs. So I need a scene where we explain why that doesn't happen. It's like, maybe Jeremiah says, I don't know the ins and outs, but I can show you these things. Or even a scene where he says, look, I could tell you, but it wouldn't make sense. I have to show you. And Mulder can be like, well, damn it. All right. But we don't get that. So we sit here going, why the fuck not?
God damn it.
All right. Mulder begs the hunter to spare Jeremiah Smith for the sake of his mother, but the hunter is unrelenting. Everything dies. And he flings Mulder into the side of the van while Jeremiah Smith limps away, and the last thing we hear before the commercial is Samantha screaming. So that happened.
Why didn't they show that? You want some violence, just off a kid on screen.
Yeah, why don't we see the strangulation of a minor in prime time? That's interesting.
This show, I'm a little disappointed. They could have just, pushed the boundary, pushed the envelope a little bit.
You mean like they're about to do with Home?
Yeah. This is the soft entry to Home.
Yeah.
This is just preparing you for that.
Back in the hospital in Providence, Sculler. Nope, not Sculler. Sculler. A.D. Sculler. Back in the hospital in Providence, Skinner is pissed while Scully checks in on Mrs. Mulder. It's been 5 hours since... What exactly? Mulder had his phone call with Scully?
Well, okay. So if that's the case, how did Mulder get here so fast?
Yeah, because here we go. Mulder said he was going to catch a flight, ostensibly from Providence to Canada. And the plot suggests that we haven't heard from Mulder since his latest fight with the bounty hunter. How, Mike? I'm not even going to bother. It's all bullshit.
It's all.
The hospital is filled with FBI agents, and it's disrupting the hospital's ability to treat patients. And when out of the blue, Mulder walks in, having decided that suit jackets are now for wimps. And it begs the question, if he's in shock, how on earth does he have the capacity for travel of any kind, much less to wander from Canada to Providence in 5 hours?
Maybe he's in shock from traveling so fast.
The only possible answer is
he got
alien
there,
bounty hunter UFO.
Yep. They hitched a ride.
Yeah, I think that must be it.
He's like, look, we're both going in the same direction, same place.
You just drop me off.
Just
you come in later.
Well, gentlemen's agreement, we're not going to pursue this right now.
Yeah.
Just take me to the hospital. I won't kill you.
Yeah. Lots of gray area. Writers needed to fill the gap, so mission accomplished. Mulder arrives with more questions than answers and no Jeremiah Smith. You would expect that Skinner would be tearing off a strip for Mulder, but we're all reminded that Mulder's mom is in critical condition, so I suppose that gives him a pass. He goes straight to her bedside and begins to have a good cry. She'll never know. What? Exactly. Samantha's alive. Been there, done that. Mulder and Scully have a good hug, which probably makes a lot of people feel very good. Yeah. Later, at Mulder's darkened apartment, a knock on the door, and Mr. X is there. He looks around. No one. Has he been set up? He backs away, moves to leave. The music is eerie and suspenseful. Something is not right. Hand on his gun, he waits for the elevator to arrive, and for some ungodly reason, is not looking at it when the doors open. He turns, sees a man inside, the henchman of the First Elder, who proceeds to shoot Mr. X twice with a silenced pistol. Mr. X falls to the ground as the camera circles him, and he starts in on an Emmy-winning death scene.
Ugh.
Mike, how did this scene make you feel?
So sad.
Yeah.
It's really great. I love the tension behind it. We see the concern on X's face immediately, and he should know better. If the door's cracked, this is not typical Mulder. I love how he doesn't even take a step in. He's like, this is not good. So his instincts were there, but he let his paranoia get the best of him a little bit by looking back in the hall. The death scene is fantastic. I love the slow circle of him while he's just bleeding on the floor.
Gurgling.
It's really, really intense. And a sad goodbye to one of our favorite characters.
Yeah, definitely. I will say I take issue with his sudden stupidity. He has shown us how amazing an operator he is. Like taking the elevator at all, like you take the stairs if you're going to get out, because you can, you have more angles, right? If you're in an elevator, you're basically in a kill box. And plus you never know who might be in there when the doors open, especially if you're not looking in.
Mm.
So that happened.
Yeah. Well,
we fade back to Mulder at his mother's bedside, lamenting he could have saved her if only he'd been able to bring Jeremiah Smith there. Scully's the voice of hope here. She must be thinking Mulder is hallucinating as he tells her about the place with green fields and seeing his sister as a little girl. And I love how she doesn't even address it. She's like,
just sweeping
shock.
by that. All right, okay.
Yeah, shock. Must be shock.
Do you want some McDonald's or?
I've got a picture of your sister here. That'll work, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have the usual grab bag of mythology dialogue, enough to recharge the energy of the season. And since he's not gone yet, Scully reveals she was warned by Mr. X, who hasn't finished dying. Strings accompany him towards his death as he crawls back to Mulder's apartment, and with his last breaths, he scrawls a word on the floor with his own blood. SRSG.
Okay.
Go.
Love the scene.
Yeah.
Love the idea of it. Love his determination to get revenge on the people he works for by helping Mulder one last time.
Yes.
Does no one else live in this apartment? And would this not be a crime scene before Mulder gets home?
Well, we never see that, though. Probably it is.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, how would he know SRSG, which he obviously does before the end of the episode? I know he's law enforcement. He's FBI. He can probably get the information. It just feels like what they want us to think is that he just comes home to find this. And also,
yeah,
where's the syndicate cleanup?
Oh, I was thinking that too. It's like, oh, look at you trying to scrawl a little
like they wouldn't be
friend.
prepared to remove this body, which they had to have. I don't know. It's cool. I like it, but I would have liked more if, as he's dead, finishing you see someone come in and remove his body and maybe wipe it away or something. Like that would have been kind of cool.
It would have been more fitting that we just never see or hear from Mr. X again, except his death is now inconsequential. Like they don't ever talk about Mr. X again, especially the idea that, yeah, Mr. X dead on my doorstep. Ugh, that was a rough one.
Yeah, they just crossfade into Mulder investigating the lead.
Yeah. So you have to write a lot of your own narrative in there, which is on brand for this episode. Let me tell you.
No.
So like the episode, we're going to skip right on by that incongruity and fade to the first of our two epilogues. The United Nations building in New York City, 1 month later. Inside, a door marked Special Representative to the Secretary General, SRSG. That's what it stood for, Mike.
Marita
It opens.
Covarrubias.
And an attractive blonde woman comes out, Marita
Covarrubias.
Even she stumbles over her own name there.
I haven't learned it yet.
Covarrubias. And she's the assistant to the special representative. So she is the ASRSG, the ASRAG. And before we move on here, Mike, did a little research on special representatives. And it is worth noting that the UN does, in fact, employ special representatives of the Secretary General, not two. These are experts appointed by the Secretary General, and that's essentially the leader of the UN, to represent them on critical human rights issues with world leaders. And there is not just one. In fact, in 1996, there were 5 appointed in relation to crisis points in the world, including the former Yugoslavia, Afghanistan, the Middle East, and Angola. So,
which explains a little bit why she's in Russia in season 5.
It does.
So we can rest easy on that one.
Except a couple things. They wouldn't have their own office at the UN because they are just liaisons. They're
just glorified assistants. That's right. I said it. We've all been thinking it. They don't get offices. They're not people.
All right, back to the scene. Marita comes out to meet Mulder. The special representative has reviewed the materials but cannot speak to Mulder. He's busy. Marita confirms the crops were ginseng, but there's no evidence of bees or bee husbandry. Mike, the syndicate is covering its tracks.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they chose the more pressing matter of fixing that site than removing Mr. X's body.
It's a manpower problem. You just can't be everywhere at once.
They have to remove evidence of the plot rather than just a dead man. So,
well, and it's a little bit of an FU to Mulder to leave his contact on the doorstep.
That is pretty ballsy. Like, fuck you.
You had a contact and now he's dead. This is what happens when snitches.
Snitches get stitches.
They get stitches.
Or bullets.
Well, Marita asks why all this is so important to Mulder, and I gotta say, this is the one good thing about this episode. This surprisingly touching moment where he fails completely to answer her question. He stammers out kind of a half answer about he's suffered some losses lately, and I think it's great. I mean, his usual response is these manufactured tears and scrunchy face, but here he's just like, you were kind of my last lead.
I have nowhere to go.
I've lost X. My mother's about to die. I had Samantha and that got lost. I had the opportunity to save my mother, and that, there's a lot. And I think that this particular emotional state is great.
Yeah.
And as he goes, he opens the folder that Marita's handed back to him, and he sees a photo of the kids tending the crops, including Samantha. Incredulous, he turns back to Marita, who says ominously, "Not everything dies, Mr. Mulder." Oh, she's the new Mr. X.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yep. Which brings us finally to the end, as we cut back to Providence Hospital. The alien bounty hunter prowls the halls cleaned up from his bee sting attack, and he enters Mrs. Mulder's room. It looks like it's curtains for Mrs. Mulder. He's there to finish her off. But that is not the case.
I need to know the reasons why this should be.
So that the work may continue. So that the project may proceed unabated by removing an unnecessary obstacle.
What obstacle?
Agent Mulder, actually. If his mother were to die, he would...
He what?
You see, the fiercest enemy is the man who has nothing left to lose. And you know how important Agent Mulder is to the equation.
And with that, the hunter closes the hospital door and places his hand over Mrs. Mulder's forehead, closes his eyes. The William B. Davis character, whoever that should be, looks on as Mrs. Mulder's eyes open and she turns to look at him.
Cross-eyed.
She's...
Who is this? Obviously affected from the lack of blood to her brain.
I would love that if she looked over and just went...
Who are you?
Can't talk with a tube in my mouth. That's the episode. Mike, I turn it to you for your final thoughts.
I don't have many on this episode. It's all right. It's a series of scenes that
tied together by a narrative.
Yeah, tied together by a narrative, kind of. I don't come back to it, honestly. The best parts are at the end.
I wouldn't come back to it, but
yeah. I mean, no, I'm with you. The best scenes are definitely the end with Mr. X. I can appreciate it for what it does for the show. You know, it's setting up the B arc, which becomes extremely popular and something they use throughout this season, next season movie.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it on that level, but yeah, I think it's just like a blah episode kind of to fit with the blah that was Talitha Kumi for me.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
I like this one better only because, you know, some of those answers are taking shape. You know, Scully's getting the smallpox information. She's piecing those things together. It's okay. So this ties back to season 2. We have more harder evidence than we found in the mines. So at least that's moving the plot somewhat. So yeah, whatever. It's an episode. Definitely not one that I come back to.
Yeah. Well, it's so disjointed, I think is the word I would use.
Yeah.
And obviously I was frustrated by a few things in this episode. I mean, it's yet another example of huge travel times for no great reason other than to try and give us a wider canvas, which I appreciate. You know, as a writer, you can't always be writing stuff in Washington, but you want to show a bit of the country. But to no great end. And it just, the problem is the way they tell the story. It doesn't fit together nicely. You got these situations where it's like suddenly they're there and
yeah,
you know, you could spend the 20 seconds to show them traveling and that just underlines how big the country is. But
I think they need to do a better job of stretching things out. Be like, this isn't all happening in the span of 24 hours.
Yeah.
But it sure feels that way.
It does.
So make your story a little bit bigger. Make it kind of like Wet Wired, where there are days at the legend or something.
Yeah.
And then we can kind of wrap our heads around something a little bit better. We're meant to assume a whole hell of a lot.
Yeah.
Or they just don't care.
They think you're stupid and they're just going to forget it. You know, you're going to be swept up.
Like this is all happening in 12 hours and bing, bang, boom.
Yeah.
Fucking bounty hunters right on Mulder's tail again.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate because it could be better in that regard. And it would help some of this episode if we knew how long it was taking, but it just feels, clunky.
But then you need a scene where Mulder asks questions and gets shut down by Jeremiah Smith because, like, come on, we've all been on road trips. You talk, and yet he's like, "No, I got to show you." Dumb. It's another example of Mulder being led along by the nose to be given half answers and no real resolution. We get a few good plot nuggets, as you say, the B stuff. Ironically, they all come from the Scully angle of the plot. You know, they're all related to the smallpox vaccinations. For Mulder, every time the plot comes close to revealing something, the alien bounty hunter arrives on the scene with a squeal of tires, and it's time for another half-interesting chase
interruption.
You know, even the chases are like, I just felt like, come on already.
It's just him crashing onto the scene.
And getting flummoxed. I mean, God, this guy is so ineffectual. Look, there are obvious fixes here. Tell us why Jeremiah Smith can't just tell Mulder the answers. Maybe he doesn't actually know, except he says repeatedly that he does, and he's going to answer all of Mulder's questions. So they spend upwards of a week driving around in cars to get to and from Alberta, and I cannot imagine the subject doesn't come up. The real revelation comes at the end, of course, the cigarette-smoking man letting us know how valuable Agent Mulder is to the equation.
Why?
Which, if it's true, it does not explain why the alien bounty hunter was eager to drive through Mulder in a phone booth to get to Smith. But I digress. It's a bit of a mess.
I'm with you. I think he's going a little off script on that one.
You said by any means necessary. Yeah. This resolves the way most season openers resolve, with the agents recharged and redetermined to continue the fight, even if the rug is always going to be pulled out from under them, Lucy and Charlie Brown style. So, yeah. Not my fave. I wouldn't watch this one again. I think of all the mythology arcs, this one's the weakest. It's got so many threads you can pull on.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's season 4. We're off and running. It's starting.
All right. Well, I am good with this episode, Andrew. I'm ready to get out of here.
You're ready to be done.
Go back home.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, valued viewers and listeners, no, that's a horrible segue. I'm going to just say, lovely listeners, thank you for participating in our experiment to try and get through this one. It was challenging, but we did it. And I look forward to other episodes of Season 4, which are probably going to be better. Mike, I shall give you the last word.
Destroy the master race. Protect yourselves. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you liked what you heard, please rate and review on your podcast app of choice. Andrew and I would be eternally grateful to you fine people for helping us expand and get the word out. Also, we've got a killer group on Facebook. Feel free to join in on the discussion at facebook.com/groups/thisisnothappeningpod and become an official member of the syndicate. We do polls and we have questions for every episode to give you guys the opportunity to chime in and possibly let your voice be heard on our recordings. And please join us on our new Twitter at tinhxfilespod, no dash, to stay up to date on everything, moment to moment. Thank you, and remember, don't stop swimming.